Famed investor Michael Burry, best known for predicting the 2008 housing market collapse, has launched a public campaign betting against the AI industry. After deregistering his hedge fund, Scion Asset Management, Burry is using a new newsletter to argue that the sector is in a bubble comparable to the dot-com era. His central thesis, developed with researcher Phil Clifton, posits that the massive capital expenditure on AI infrastructure, which is projected to reach trillions over the next 5 years, far outpaces actual end user demand. Burry specifically challenges accounting practices at companies like NVIDIA, alleging they overstate the useful life of chips that quickly become obsolete in order to justify the costs. Now, NVIDIA has actually aggressively pushed back against this. They sent a 7-page memo to analysts and defended their accounting and stock based compensation as consistent with industry peers. Palantir CEO Alex Karp took a more informal approach and dismissed Burry's short positions as batshit crazy, according to him. Burry, however, maintains the industry faces a reckoning similar to Telecom Cisco's crash in the late 1990s. So, Paul, I guess the question here is like, is there a bubble? And then also, this jumped out at me in some of the reporting on this. This is a point from Burry and Clifton in their research saying the investment world is, quote, expecting far more economic importance out of this technology than is likely to be provided. Just because a technology is good for society or revolutionizes the world doesn't mean that it's a good business proposition. What would you say to all that?
Yeah, so I don't know. We touched a little bit on this on episode 182 when we were talking about NVIDIA's earnings, and I think I even mentioned Burry at that
Yeah.
time. Um, I'll just, in case you didn't listen to episode 182, I'll just do a really quick recap of the points I was making there. So, one, we're on the leading edge of an intelligence explosion. AI is going to be everywhere and in everything. That to me just is inevitable. NVIDIA's rise and a lot of the related stocks and certainly the valuations of some of these AI startups has really come from these foundational models. Now, NVIDIA in particular, from the training of these models. But the bet that all of these companies are making, and this gets to the demand, will the demand be there, as Burry and his partner are questioning, comes down to the amount of intelligence that society will demand, and specifically inference. So again, the models are trained and then they go through post-training. And so the NVIDIA chips are used to do all these things and the build out of data centers and the requirements for all this energy. All of it has largely been about building the models. Moving forward, it's all about delivering those models to all of us through devices, through AI assistants. But those models aren't just doing text anymore. They're doing reasoning, they're doing image generation, video generation, audio, 3D worlds, AI agents, robotics. All of these things are going to require dramatically more computing power, dramatically more energy than what is currently available in the world, which is why they're all spending tens of billions, hundreds of billions on the build out.
Hmm.
So most people I talk to, and I talk to a lot of very savvy investors, and I get asked all the time about different stocks, and the general response I always give is like, people, even very savvy investors, have no concept of where this all goes, how these models advance, what the demand is going to be for this sort of stuff. So, as I've said, there'll be losers in this. There will be multi-billion-dollar companies that just go away. There will be dramatic drops in stock prices. We'll touch a little bit, I think, on NVIDIA's drop last week when it came out that Google was doing deals for their TPU chips. So there's going to be all kinds of stuff happening, but you have to play the long game. You have to look at where this is. Like I think back to like the doubt investors had in Google after ChatGPT was released. Like Google got destroyed for a
Hmm.
while. Like there was just all these questions about, can Google survive? It's like you forget who created all this. Like this is why I was always like, why would you bet against Google? I never understood this. They were better positioned than everybody. But everything has become about the next earnings call. And so that's why these AI bubble, all this talk is like everyone always anxiously awaits the NVIDIA earnings call, Microsoft, Amazon, Meta, Google. They're waiting to see, are they going to keep building out? Are they going to keep investing in the future? Do they have high conviction about where this goes? So specific to Burry, I have no idea. I mean, obviously the guy bet right in 2008. He has
Yeah.
bet wrong numerous times since then. He obviously knows more about this stuff than I could ever know in terms of like the actual accounting side of everything, the finances. he picked a fight with Elon Musk this morning. Like he's just going after everybody. So who knows if he ends up being right on some of this. Um, but I don't know. Like I have pretty high conviction about the overall premise of where this all goes, without getting into the fine details of balance sheets and accounting methods people are using to, you know, to look at the depreciation of chips over time and like things like that that Burry's assessing. I've just always looked at things like I'm not smart enough as an investor to challenge people on that level of thinking.
Mm.
For me, it's about the companies I'm exposed to, the people I talk to, my belief in like where this all goes. So the advice I'd take here, and sort of like my big takeaway on this AI bubble thing, is you have to consider your own position from a personal investing perspective, but also from a career and business perspective. To your point, Mike, about if you're an employee or if you're a business owner, an entrepreneur, or if you're just thinking, where do I invest my retirement money?
Mm.
Um, I think what you have to do is have a long-term thesis about AI, and then you have to decide what your level of conviction is. So again, I always stress I'm not giving anyone investing advice on any stocks. I get asked by friends, family, coworkers, like I don't give advice on specific stocks. But for me, I'm 47. I bet everything personally and professionally starting in 2016 that AI would change the world. Every business and every industry would become AI native, AI emergent, or obsolete. So at that time, I personally started betting on companies that I thought were best positioned to grow when demand for intelligence scaled. And then I built my own companies to help professionals and businesses accelerate their AI understanding and transformation. So personally, from a personal investing perspective, from a businesses I'm building perspective, from where I'm betting my own, well-being and financial strength on, I believe we are on the leading edge of an intelligence explosion. I think it's just starting. I don't think we're at this like, oh, NVIDIA is screwed because people are buying TPUs from Google. Like, okay, it's not like their business model became irrelevant overnight. So that doesn't mean that every AI company survives. As I said earlier, there's going to be winners and losers. There's going to be ups and downs in the stock market. There will be variables that are out of our control that will impact the markets in the months and years ahead. So in my AI timeline course that I teach as part of AI Academy, I have this breakdown of like what accelerates progress, like what actually moves this faster, and then what slows it down. So on the what slows it down part, there could be a breakdown in the AI compute supply chain due to like earthquakes, hurricanes, physical or cyber sabotage. Like there's things like we just have no idea. There could be catastrophic events that are blamed on AI, which gets into the political side of all this stuff. There could be lack of value created in enterprises. Like maybe it just doesn't work. I don't think that's going to happen, but that's a possibility. Landmark IP lawsuits that impact access to training data, legality of existing existing AI models, restrictive laws and regulations. We talk a lot about state regulations, societal revolt against AI due to job loss, politics, perceptions, fears, unexpected collapse in scaling laws. I don't think, but that's talked about a lot. And then voluntary or involuntary halt on model advancements due to catastrophic risks,
Mm.
where the labs say, "Hey, we got to stop. Like it's getting too good, too powerful." Um, so at a very, very high level, I think there's a far greater risk in sitting back and assuming this is all a bubble than positioning yourself and your company to thrive in the age of AI. That doesn't mean there's no risk. It doesn't mean that there aren't going to be bubble like events where companies just disappear or
Mm.
valuations drop 10%. And so you have to, again, if you're late in your career, if you're sitting on a retirement fund and you're like, should I keep it all in Nvidia? That is on you and your investment advisor to talk about the risks you're taking. As I said, I'm kind of middle of the road here. I'm 47. I got a long, investing career ahead of me. I got a long business career ahead of me. I'm in it for the long game, and I'm placing my bets accordingly. But everybody's got to decide their own thing. But again, have a hypothesis about where the future goes, and then decide what your level of conviction is in that hypothesis, and
Mm.
let that then guide your decisions.